Hey everyone, Meinke here from MLive.com, joined by Justin Rogers. Lions getting ready for their fourth game of the season, Justin. They're at 2-1, and I think both of us projected them to be at this point 2-1 coming into the season. But some things have changed, have altered our realities a little bit. Starting with obviously the number one overall defense. That's been a big shock to us. But then on the other hand, there's also all the injuries to consider going forward and how that might impact the defense. And so I got this question from a fan. I just wanted to pose it to you. Has your projection for the team changed at all, given what we know 3 games in? You had them at 9-7 coming into the year. Has your projection changed?
You know, I think I was the optimist in the bunch when it came to preseason predictions, and it really hasn't changed. My perception of the Lions' ceiling, I think, has maybe changed a little bit, or their floor. I think their floor is a little bit higher, their ceiling's a little bit higher. But 9-7, I think, is still a good fit. And part of the reason is I look at the way some of their future opponents are playing. I think Arizona's a bit better than I expected. I think that game where I thought maybe the Lions could steal it on the road looks less likely now. And then Atlanta, is a team that was really down last year. You knew they were going to be better with Julio Jones back, but we all saw what they did to the Bucs the other night. That offense looks fantastic. The London game is a strange variable in itself. So, that's going to be a really tall challenge as well. Still Chicago and Green Bay to end the season. That doesn't get any easier. So, I think 9-7 is still a good fit, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions win the division. I think the best part is that the Packers and the Bears are playing poorly.
Right. I started at 8-8 going into the season. I haven't changed either, and for the same reason you described. I'm higher on the defense than I was coming into the season, but at the same time, I think there's going to be a reversion to the mean, if you will. Once this team plays more games and gets a better sample size of opponents, there are some serious concerns, I think, with Tulloch out in the middle, with all the problems they've had in the secondary. I just don't know how sustainable this can be going forward. And they do have a very difficult schedule. I think the Jets game is very winnable. I think the Bills game and the Vikings game after that are all winnable. But then after that, you got the Saints difficult, Falcons difficult. I think Dolphins will be manageable, but then Cardinals, Patriots, and of course you got the two games to end the season. I think we can all kind of chalk down as losses, given the Lions' recent history against those teams, and particularly at Lambeau to end the year. It's going to be a very difficult stretch, I think, to finish off the season.
Yeah, I mentioned it in a video earlier this week. I think the Lions very reasonably could be 5-1. I'm not saying they're going to be 5-1, but they have a very reasonable shot to be in and win these next 3 games. That Saints game will be a huge barometer when they get there, whether they're 4-2 or 5-1, or if they're worse. Well, maybe we already know the barometer.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch. I just think this team is better than I thought it was going to be, but I'm concerned about all these injuries, and they keep happening with Tulloch on Sunday and Fourier now. I think he's going to be a question mark for several weeks. Obviously, with everything that's happened with Lawson and Bentley and Cassius, we haven't seen Cassius Vaughn's a missing man at this point. We haven't seen him in several weeks, and so. It's going to be I think a difficult stretch to weather without some of those guys when you play some of those great offenses like the Saints.
Yeah, they obviously compensated well for Tulloch against the Packers, way better than I guess you could have even expected. But we still don't know what Tahir Whitehead offers. We saw him a little bit on the outside in some of the early games, but in the middle, it's a new look for him, a new look for us, and how they overcome Tulloch is going to be bigger than I think even how they overcame the Nickelback situation, which is looking okay still, despite being on Nickelback 7 or 8 or 11. I don't know. I'm
intrigued to see how Whitehead pulls this off, but one thing he has going for him obviously is the defensive line. It's playing every bit as good as you could have possibly imagined that group playing, finally fulfilling some of that potential that we thought they would have once they spent 3 first-round picks there. And Fairley's played exceptionally well. Sue is always. Ansa's been disruptive. Jason Jones is playing well. George Johnson's been a huge surprise. On and on and on. And with that group causing so much disruption up front and just pushing that line every single snap back and back. The Lions are giving up the fewest yards per carry of any team in the NFL. I think that really speaks to what they've been able to do with the front 7, and that's going to help alleviate some of the pains that you have going on at linebacker.
Yeah, that's a carryover from last year. And for all the health woes the Lions have right now, they're pretty darn healthy up front. Fairley is still nursing a bicep injury that he picked up a couple weeks ago, but George Johnson and Ansa, who have also been nicked up, are fully practicing the last couple days, and that's a great sign because they need that complement of that edge pressure to the dominant interior rush that we already knew they presented.
some things to like about the Lions, but some things to be concerned about. And neither of us are budging, I guess, is where we're at this point. 9-7 for you, correct?
Yeah.
And 8-8 for myself. For Dustin Rogers, I'm Kyle Meinke. We are MLive. Keep it right here.